all fantasize if we come across a stash of money or a treasure. But in your case, your character's case, it has a lot of strings. Talk about
Yeah.
Daisy and Paterson, if you would talk about when you read the script, each of you, and you were, taking in what your character, how they were going to process this windfall, how you kind of wanted to approach it. It's an interesting conundrum.
Well, I think it's such a great sort of launch for a show, really, isn't it? Because it's something everyone thinks about in some form, or people ask, what would you do if you found, or what, So it's such a brilliant way into a drama and into these two characters and to their dynamic and to their motivations in life. I mean, I sort of don't think I particularly thought about how I would approach it. I thought that it was there was so the script and how it was written and how Janet was coping with this moment where this thing happened. We had this big scene we had to play where I had to go from somebody who would never do anything like that to, do you know what? Yeah.
Right.
By the power of Samuel. And obviously they wouldn't be a show if they had made a different decision. So it's just a really fantastic kind of meaty, juicy first scene for two people to get to play. And when we read the script, I don't know about Patterson, but when I read the script, I was like, oh well, I've got to do this. This is great. Well, but if it was me, I would never, I couldn't. Me, Daisy, would be capable of making that decision. I'm a complete wimp. How about you?
Yeah, I mean, it's not even trying to be morally correct. It's just I can't take it. I
The
couldn't take
terror.
the guilt. It's just this belongs to someone. Not only that, in this case, it's criminal, and I just couldn't bring myself to take that chance. I think what we were saying earlier was that it's desperation that leads them both to act in this way. I think they are two innocents in many ways. Samuel less so, in that he is willing to take more risks and he's the one who pushes it. But actually, it's the first time he's done anything, as you can see from what happens afterwards. First time he's done anything quite like this. But Samuel sort of enjoys the risk, and I that's so opposite to me, and it's nice playing things that are sort of opposite to what you
Yeah.
would really morally do. It's really enjoyable, in fact,
I
but
would, yeah.
horrible consequences.
Yes, very much so. Both of your characters, well, Daisy, your character has a stepson, correct?
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
And Patterson, you have a daughter. So
Yes.
how do your characters, I don't want to give spoilers away because this is such a fun watch. So it's
Yeah.
really, you got to be really careful, but how do you navigate with the kids in this that are so close to you and so important to your characters' lives? This particular mess that your characters get into.
Well, I think that I was going to think in terms of Janet, I would say that he's a big part of her motivation because among all the things that have happened to her, of all the sort of dreadful, we kind of meet her at sort of the lowest ebb, at the lowest point in her life. And one of them is that she has no access to this, to who effectively her son, but because he's her stepson, she has no rights in the situation. So I think for me, when I was reading it, a lot of her drive and her like her, I mean, she makes a decision and then she's like, oh my God, I don't want to put him at risk. But then a lot of her drive and a lot of everything she does is for him. So in a way, that sort of becomes her motivation as a mother, is like, right, I have to get out of the situation, or I have to sort out the situation, or I have to get some money from the situation for my son. So I think he ends up being a major drive for her. Whereas I think well, I don't know if it's different for you. That's for you to say, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, I think the root of it is the same, is that you want your family to be happy, and he thinks happiness is having money, and that's wrong, obviously, and it leads him to make decisions that are narcissistic because it's about him saying, I'm able to do this. I can buy you this and I can buy you a house. As he says to his wife, I just wanted us to have stuff. I want you to have everything. But actually, in the end, it's a narcissistic, I want to be the man who can give you all of this, rather than sort of cutting his cloth to suit, and saying, look, I can't afford it. We're going to have to go somewhere else, or being honest and saying, who he is. And he doesn't want to do that. He wants to be the big guy. So unfortunately, that sort of narcissism led to some terrible decision making.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of humor mixed with a lot of violence, and that's a great British blend. I always feel like like Guy Ritchie kind of perfected it in his films, and there's a lot of elements of that in this, and a bit of Tarantino type, like really riotously funny moments, and then really gutting violence and scary moments. After, again, we don't want to give spoilers. We want people to be entertained all through the episodes. What do you hope people, when they finish watching this, what morality or what do you think that people will be examining their own hearts about, like, if they came across a windfall of somebody else's property? We'll just leave it nebulous like that. And what they might be thinking.
I feel like we've been asked a lot in terms of that. I would say that I've been asked a lot, what would you do? So it has sparked the question, hasn't it? What decision you'd make? I mean, I think it's pretty clear that from the show that, no matter what may happen in the end, of which we won't reveal, that it's not a great decision, right? Two very ordinary people to steal all of that amount of drugs and then to try and sell it when they know nothing of the world or the danger they're in is pretty much the most stupid thing that you could ever do, even no matter how it ends. So I think that I think that the morality, the question that people have asked us is, would you do it? And we've all gone no. But I think the show it's not an advertisement for that, unless you like terror or a mass murder to be killed, basically.
Right.
The terror
I
of being murdered at any point.
I think, but April, your question about, or at least your observation that it's very funny but violent is good, because violence without consequences, I'm not a fan of, because I think violence always has consequences, whether we see the victim or the victim's family or not in a thing. I always think about that bit. It's like, yeah, you've taken out all these people, but what about the consequences of it? And I think this show shows you that every action has a consequence, and actions as sort of amoral or immoral, in fact, as these two take, will have terrible consequences, which they do. But what they do brilliantly, I think, Jack and Harry, is dose it with humor, so that it's not just unremittingly horrible. There is actually a way that you could be human within it and say, well, yeah, that would make me hysterical as well. I mean, I would feel both morally compromised, but also as I'm watching it, I'm thinking, yes, I would do that. Possibly, no, oh God, I wouldn't do that. But it is funny to watch, rather than, oh, I wouldn't do that, and I can't stand to watch it.
Last quick question, the location. Most American viewers are used to seeing the beautiful South, Turkey and Penzance and, Cornwall, the southern coast filmed, but this isn't filmed there. It's filmed in Yorkshire.
Yes, beautiful, beautiful Yorkshire, which has a place in our hearts, doesn't it?
Yeah, it really does. I mean, I'm a football fan, and my team, Leeds, is a Yorkshire team, so I was able to visit that stadium actually for the first time in my life. It's quite far from us here in London, but it's also wonderful to have a show that's set somewhere else other than the southern counties and London, or major cities like Manchester on the other side of the country. And what you get is a sense of isolation as well, because there's so much country out there, so much sort of greenery, and it's wonderful to have this almost urban story taking place in quite a wide open space.
I love it. Okay. Thank you both so much. I really enjoyed it. I didn't want to give any spoilers. I want fans, people to watch it and just enjoy it as I did. And thank you so much for your time.
You're very welcome, April.
Thank you.
Bye now.